Chapter 4003. He had already seen how powerful Bailey Hongzhuang was back in the magic training tower. Although Bailey Hongzhuang had always tactfully rejected him, he always believed that one day Bailey Hongzhuang would join their 100 Flowers Gate. After all, 100 Flowers Gate was the most suitable place for her to develop. However, he did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to join Penglai Palace, nor did he expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be so powerful to be able to develop such a medicine. If he had known earlier, he would have tried his best to recruit Bailey Hongzhuang back no matter what price he had to pay. At that time, he only tried to recruit her many times but did not offer too many generous conditions. This was because he felt that Bailey Hongzhuang's attainments in alchemy were indeed amazing, but it had not yet reached the point of shocking the heavens and earth. Therefore, he only tried to recruit her verbally. Now that he thought about it, it was too late for regrets. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled at that time. It was also because of some reasons that I disguised myself as a woman. I see. Mo Xinyu replied with a smile. Bai Zongming and the others had been watching the conversation between Bailey Hongzhuang and Mo Xinyu. Seeing how familiar the two were, everyone was very surprised. They did not expect the two to already know each other. Master Mo, so you already know each other? Ren Fingni could not help but say. Mo Xinyu nodded. We have known each other for nearly a year. But I did not expect her to be Bailey Hongzhuang. In that case, Master Mo knew Miss Bailey even earlier than she joined Penglai Palace. Ren Fingni immediately calculated, then it's a pity that you did not recruit Miss Bailey back then. Ren Fingni's words also had a hint of ridicule. This time, Mo Xinyu and he came with the purpose of recruiting, but they did not expect Mo Xinyu to already know Bailey Hongzhuang and miss this opportunity. Presumably, the latter must be extremely depressed. Ren Fingni found it very funny. Mo Xinyu was already very depressed in his heart. At this moment, when he heard Ren Fingni's sarcasm, he could not help but feel even more unhappy. However, he did not show it on his face and just fell into silence. Long Yanwei and the others could not help but look at each other. They could understand Mo Xingyu's actions back then. If Long Yanwei had not taken a fancy to Bailey Hongzhuang's contract beast, they would not have thought of recruiting Bailey Hongzhuang and the others back. If they did not recruit Bailey Hongzhuang, then it would naturally have nothing to do with their palace. Perhaps 100 Flowers Gate would have taken advantage of it. In that case, it was really a coincidence. Long Yanwei had really made a great contribution to Penglai Palace. Thinking of this, Yi Zihua couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Fortunately, he had pulled Long Yanwei out with him that day. If it was only him there, he probably wouldn't have thought of recruiting them, not to mention that he didn't have enough conditions to recruit Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Bailey Hongzhuang, since you already know this Master Mo, I will not introduce him. Bai Zongming slowly said. Let me introduce you. This is Ren Fingni from Crimson Moon Sect, Master Ren. Greetings, Master Ren. Bailey Hongzhuang bowed. Chapter 4004. Ren Fingni knew very well that if Bailey Hongzhuang was recruited into the Crimson Moon Sect, then with her ability, her status in the Crimson Moon Sect would definitely not be lower than his. Naturally, he would not be able to accept Bailey Hongzhuang's salute. Master Ren, I'm just an ordinary disciple of the Penglai Palace. You're a master of the Crimson Moon Sect. It's only right for me to salute you. Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile. Miss Bailey, you've made such a great contribution to the Penglai Palace, but you're still just an ordinary disciple of the Penglai Palace? Ren Fingni's eyes flashed with disbelief. Clearly, he could not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang did not receive any promotion after handing over the prescription to the Penglai Palace. This was a little too unbelievable. Logically speaking, with such a great contribution, her status would definitely be different whether it was in the 100 Flowers Gate or the Crimson Moon Sect. Could it be that it was so difficult for the Penglai Palace to raise their status? After Ren Fingni's reminder, Mo Xingyu's eyes lit up. He was very sure that as long as Bailey Hongzhuang could join the 100 Flowers Gate, then Bailey Hongzhuang's status in the 100 Flowers Gate would definitely not be comparable to an ordinary disciple. Just based on this point alone, they had already defeated the Penglai Palace. Bai Zongming and the others also realized this problem, and could not help but be shocked. They really did not expect to give Bailey Hongzhuang such a reward. I'm also planning to raise Bailey Hongzhuang's status, but I haven't thought about what title to give her, so I haven't taken any action yet, Bai Songming hurriedly said. He did not want to give the other two forces any chance to take advantage of this. I see. Ren Fingni smiled faintly. Even though Bai Songming concealed it very well, he could still see that this was a last-minute decision by Bai Songming. Originally, according to his judgment, Bailey Hongzhuang had made such a great contribution to Penglai Palace. Bai Songming should have given her a great reward. However, based on the current situation, Bai Songming didn't seem to have done that at all. This meant that Bailey Hongzhuang might not have received the corresponding reward at all. In that case, they would have a chance to recruit Bailey Hongzhuang. After all, the Penglai Palace was not inferior to the Crimson Moon sect in any way. On the contrary, they were even more powerful. If Bai Songming had given Bailey Hongzhuang a generous reward, it would have been difficult for him to find a chance. Now, it seemed that he still had a lot of opportunities. He couldn't help but feel happy. Lady Bailey, I heard that you have not been to Penglai Island for long. I believe you have not been to our Scarlet Moon Island. If you are free, why don't you come to our Scarlet Moon sect? I can bring you around for a tour. Ren Feng and I said. Lady Bailey, you promised me that you would come to our 100-Flower Island when you are free. Why don't you take this opportunity to travel around? Emo Xingyu also said. It was not convenient for them to say many things in front of Bai Songming, and they could not directly state their conditions. If they could talk to him in detail alone, they would have a much higher chance of success. He didn't have to think about how to reject Emo Xingyu and Ren Fingni. Since the palace master's attitude was so unyielding, the two of them didn't need to think to know her attitude. Hall Master Bai, Emo Xingyu and Ren Fingni still didn't give up. They came with a mission this time. If they could complete it, they would definitely be rewarded greatly when they returned. If they couldn't complete it, it would be considered a failure. Master Emo, Master Ron, you don't usually come to our Penglai Palace often. Since I'm here today, why don't I take you around? Chapter 4006. The words that Ren Fengni and Emo Xingyu were about to say were stopped by Bai Songming. Upon seeing this, Ren Fengni said, That's good too. Why don't Miss Bailey come with us? Bailey Hongzhuang was just about to answer when she saw Bai Songming give her a look. She instantly understood and laughed in her heart. Thank you for your kind intentions, Master Ren, but I still have to go back and cultivate, so I won't be going with you. I believe that the two masters will definitely have fun with the hall master around. Upon hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's answer, Bai Songming's eyes were filled with satisfaction. Bailey Hongzhuang was really smart to be able to understand with just a look. Seeing that Emo Xingyu was about to say something, Yi Zihua hurriedly stood out and said, Yes, Long Yanwei and I will also tour with the two of you. We will definitely make sure that you enjoy yourselves. Bailey Hongzhuang, since you still have things to do, you can go back first, said Bai Songming. Yes. Bailey Hongzhuang responded and cupped her hands towards Emo Xingyu and Ren Fengni. Master Emo, Master Ren, I will take my leave. Her voice fell, and Bailey Hongzhuang turned and left. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang left just like that, Emo Xingyu and Ren Fengni could only swallow their words as they felt extremely helpless. Bai Songming's attitude really left them with no chance to take advantage of. They definitely did not have a chance today, so they could only think of a way in the future. After Bailey Hongzhuang returned to Long Yanwei's residence, Di Beichen and the rest immediately noticed her figure. Hongzhuang, you're back, said Di Beichen. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly and nodded. Yes. Didn't you just leave not long ago? Why are you back so soon? When Xiren was a little surprised. Didn't Master Long and Teachery come back with you? There's nothing for me to do, so I naturally came back very quickly. However, Master Long and the rest have to accompany the tour and probably won't be back anytime soon. Why don't we go back first? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. She clearly knew that with the hall master, Master Long, and Teacher Yi around, Master Emo and Master Ren would not have the time to look for her. She was also happy to have some peace and quiet. She did not have any thoughts of joining other forces, not to mention that the hall master had never mistreated her. Since Master was to say it to return to Bailey Hongzhuang to meet Master. CTO Hongzhuang's to you to meet her to meet. To meet. Meet. Meet to meet. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. It's just as we expected. Everyone immediately understood. I knew it. The people from the 100 Flowers Gate and the Crimson Moon sect definitely wanted to recruit you, but you rejected them. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. You didn't reject them? I didn't need to reject them. The Hall Master had already shut them up. Haha, the Hall Master is really amazing. I'm sure the people from the 100 Flowers Gate and the Crimson Moon sect were also very depressed. Everyone chuckled. Although they did not witness it with their own eyes, the situation must have been very exciting. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang went to the Hall Master's sleeping quarters because Bai Tsongming had said that he would bring her to the treasury to pick a treasure. After knowing that Bai Tsongming had a treasury, Bailey Hongzhuang was very curious as to what kind of treasure the Hall Master would keep. Chapter 4007. When he saw that Yizihua and Long Yanwei had arrived, astonishment surfaced in Bai Tsongming's eyes. He asked, "Why have the two of you come as well?" Yizihua chuckled. "Hall Master, I've long heard that you have a secret treasury, but I've never had the chance to see it. Since Bailey Hongzhuang has come to the treasury to choose, we naturally want to feast our eyes on it. However, Hall Master, you don't have to worry. We're only here to take a look. We won't take the opportunity to take anything away." Long Yanwei maintained his smile at the side. Although he did not say anything, his attitude was very obvious. It was obvious that his thoughts were the same as Yizihua's. Normally, the Hall Master loved to enter his secret room. No matter what treasures he had, the Hall Master already knew about them. However, he had never had the chance to see the Hall Master's treasury, so he was very curious. Now that he had the chance, he naturally wanted to see what treasures were in the Hall Master's treasury that could make him act so mysterious. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the palace lord helplessly. She had just gone out today and directly bumped into Long Yanwei and Yizihua. At first, when she saw the strange smiles on their faces, she didn't understand what they meant, but now she finally understood. As it turned out, the two of them wanted to use her as a cover to take a look at the Hall Master's treasury. Bai Tsongming glanced at Long Yanwei and Yizihua as his expression was filled with helplessness. "From the looks of it, if I don't let you see it today, you won't leave?" Long Yanwei and Yizihua only had brilliant smiles on their faces. They had already made up their minds. No matter what, they had to see the Hall Master's treasury with their own eyes today. Seeing this, Bai Tsongming waved his hand speechlessly. "Forget it. On account of Bailey Hongzhuang, I'll let you see it today." As soon as these words came out, Yizihua and Long Yanwei's eyes lit up. "Today we can finally feast our eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang, this is all because of your face. Instructor E, you must be joking. How can I compare to your reputation?" Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Long Yanwei waved his hand. "What Yizihua said is the truth. Previously, we have said more than once that we wanted to come and take a look, but the palace master has never agreed. If it weren't for you, we don't know when we would have the chance to meet." "That's right. If it were any other day, I wouldn't let you two see it." Bai Tsongming's face was full of approval. "Who told Bailey Hongzhuang to be a great hero of our Penglai Palace? I only agreed because I wanted to reward her." Hearing the palace master's words, Bailey Hongzhuang secretly sighed in her heart. It seemed that after Mo Xingyu and Ren Fengni's visit yesterday, her position in the palace master's heart had become even higher. "By the way, Bailey Hongzhuang, after Mo Xingyu and the others reminded me yesterday, I just remembered that you have made such great contributions to the Penglai Palace. It's not too suitable for you to be an ordinary disciple. Why don't I give you the title of an instructor in the field of medicine?" Bai Tsongming looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. He had neglected this point previously, and now it was time to make up for it. Although Bailey Hongzhuang was still very young, she could be called a master with her attainments in the field of medicine. Chapter 4008. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand and said, "Thank you for your kind intentions, Hall Master. However, there's no need for that. I'll just be an ordinary disciple." It was great that her status in Penglai Palace had risen, but she still had to form a team with everyone. It would be inconvenient if she suddenly had the title of a mentor. Moreover, she didn't really care about these empty titles. After she handed over the prescription, she believed that no one in Penglai Palace would look for trouble with her. Why? Bai Tsongming looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in surprise. If it was an ordinary cultivator, they would definitely not give up such an opportunity. He never expected that Bailey Hongzhuang would actually choose to reject it. It was truly beyond his expectations. Hall Master, Bailey Hongzhuang usually forms a team with everyone to gain experience. If she has the title of a mentor, wouldn't it become a mentor bringing a disciple to gain experience? That would be interesting. Yizihua couldn't help but laugh. I see. Bai Tsongming finally understood. However, you should still receive the treatment you deserve. Why don't I greet the mentors in Penglai Palace? You can enjoy the treatment of a mentor in Penglai Palace, but you won't have the title of a mentor. In the future, you'll be treated with the same status as the mentors in Penglai Palace. What do you think? That's not a bad idea. Long Yanwei expressed his agreement. Bailey Hongzhuang, what do you think? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Thank you, Hall Master. Alright, let's go take a look at the treasury first and choose something suitable for you. As soon as Bai Tsongming finished speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang noticed that the wall in front of her suddenly opened, revealing a passage behind it. So, this was where the Hall Master's treasury was located. Bai Tsongming walked at the front while Bailey Hongzhuang followed closely behind. Long Yanwei and Yizihua followed one after another. After they walked in, the door closed again and returned to its original state. Bailey Hongzhuang walked down the stairs bit by bit. She only saw the situation before her clearly when she reached the bottom. This was a very simple secret room. There were several cabinets inside and some things were placed on top of the cabinets. There weren't many things, but their value was extremely shocking. There were some items that Bailey Hongzhuang didn't know what they were. But she saw some heavenly treasures that couldn't even be seen in auctions. Even in her previous life, she rarely had the chance to see such a treasure. As for the other items, she didn't recognize some of them. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart. The Hall Master's treasures were indeed extraordinary. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was sighing, Long Yanwei and Yizihua's faces also flashed with deep astonishment. Palace Master, I really didn't expect you to have collected so many treasures. Aren't you hiding them a little too deeply? Bai Tsongming seemed to be extremely indifferent instead, and he said as if it was a matter of course, if I don't hide them, they might be dug out by all of you at any time. Hall Master, this should be used to describe you who always comes to my secret room, right? Ahem. Bai Tsongming coughed dryly, and his gaze turned to Bailey Hongzhuang. He said, Bailey Hongzhuang, you can take away any item here, no matter which one you like. Chapter 4009. That's right. Don't stand on ceremony. You must get the best one. Yizihua chimed in. Bai Tsongming glanced at Yizihua and Long Yanwei. These two fellows had always wanted to take advantage of him, but they never had the chance. Now, he could only let Bailey Hongzhuang take advantage of this opportunity to take advantage of him. However, he was perfectly willing to do this for Bailey Hongzhuang. This was because the prescription that Bailey Hongzhuang gave him was a very significant treasure. Not only was it a great treasure, but it also carried Bailey Hongzhuang's trust. Therefore, he felt that it was worth it to give Bailey Hongzhuang any reward. Xiao He and Xiao Bai's eyes lit up when they saw the treasures in the room. Although the room was decorated very simply, they knew that none of the treasures were simple. Master, what kind of treasures do you want to choose? Xiao He looked at Bailey Hongzhuang curiously. Do you want to choose medicinal herbs? We can help you look for them. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head when she heard that. Let's see if there are any other treasures other than medicinal herbs first. If you see any powerful treasures, you can tell me. She realized that there were many things that she did not recognize other than medicinal herbs and weapons. She had to understand them well. At the very least, it was good to gain some knowledge. The world 1,000 years later would definitely have improved a lot compared to 1,000 years ago. There were many things that she had never seen before. Since she was already living here, she naturally had to understand it well. It would definitely be helpful for her in the future. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked to the front of a sharp sword. Even though she was just standing in front of it, she could feel the sharpness of the sword. This sword is known as the Icy Frost Sword. It is made from 1,000-year cold steel and has an innate ice attribute. When it attacks a cultivator, it will produce a type of ice power that will invade the cultivator's body and cause great destruction. At the same time, it will also greatly increase the cultivator's combat power. Normally, some expensive weapons would also have such an attribute bonus. The reason why I kept this Frost sword is because its ice attribute is invasive, as if it can grow. Once it invades a cultivator's body, it will quickly spread, and no one will be able to stop it in time, Bai Songming explained. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a trace of amazement. This sword actually had such great power. It was truly incomparably powerful. This armor is called the Qian Tortoise Shell. Its defensive capabilities are extremely powerful. Cultivators below the 5th level of astral brilliance will basically have no effect on it. It can protect the user's life. Even cultivators above the 5th level of astral brilliance will be able to defend themselves very well if their attacks land on the armor. Unless the difference in strength between the two parties is too great, there is a possibility that the Qian Tortoise Shell will shatter. However, before it shatters, it will definitely be able to help the cultivator block a fatal attack. Furthermore, when it shatters, it will also trigger a counterattack, allowing the cultivator to have a chance to escape. Bai Zongming understood that Bailey Hongzhuang did not understand these things, so he immediately introduced the uses of these items one by one. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two heard about these abnormal abilities, they could not help but sigh in their hearts. As expected of the items collected by the Hallmaster, each of these effects was more abnormal than the last. Although there were many treasures, she wasn't a greedy person. She only wanted to find the most helpful treasure. When Bai Zongming and the other two saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was slowly choosing and did not seem to be in a hurry, a smile appeared on their faces. From the beginning to the end, they had never seen Bailey Hongzhuang's dazzled expression like that of an ordinary disciple. On the contrary, Bailey Hongzhuang appeared very calm and rational. Bailey Hongzhuang's mentality is indeed not comparable to that of an ordinary disciple. So many treasures have dazzled me, but she is still so calm. When I obtained this stone back then, I specifically asked someone about it, but no one knew. Everyone felt that this stone should be a treasure, but no one could tell what it's used for. I've studied it before and tried all kinds of methods to find out what it does. Unfortunately, this stone didn't have any reaction from beginning to end. Just that, Bailey Hongzhuang was the hallmaster to Bai and the hallmaster of Bai Zongming's. Long Yanwei and Bai Zongming clearly could not understand Bailey Hongzhuang's actions. They were even more certain that Bailey Hongzhuang would come to the hallmaster to exchange it for other treasures very soon. However, they could just treat it as the hallmaster lending the stone to Bailey Hongzhuang to study for a day. It would not affect anything. Chapter 40:13. Hongzhuang, after you saw the palace master's treasury, did you find that there were many treasures inside? Shangguan Yingying was the first to speak. She was really curious about what the palace master's treasury looked like. Unfortunately, they did not have the chance to see it with their own eyes. However, just by thinking about it, they knew that the items collected by the palace master of Penglai Palace would definitely not be simple. It would definitely dazzle and broaden one's horizons. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. There are indeed many treasures and they are all very powerful. These are treasures that can't be seen even in many auctions. Hearing you say this, I'm even more curious. I really want to see it with my own eyes. There will be a chance in the future. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Since they are all treasures, Hongzhuang, you must have also picked an amazing treasure, right? When Xiren's eyes were filled with excitement, naturally, we won't be able to see the palace master's treasury. However, let us see the treasure that you brought back. All right. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was filled with a bright smile. She immediately took out the black stone from her cosmos bag. Everyone was looking at Bailey Hongzhuang curiously. They only wanted to know what kind of treasure Bailey Hongzhuang had brought back this time. However, when they saw the item that Bailey Hongzhuang had taken out, everyone could not help but be stunned. Then, a strong sense of astonishment flashed in their eyes. What is this? Shangguan Yingying was stunned. A black stone? That's right, that's it. Bailey Hongzhuang replied. You're lying to us, right? Ren Ziheng could not help but speak out. The treasures collected by the palace master were definitely not simple. How could he have collected a stone? Yes, Hongzhuang, we all want to see the treasure that you brought back. Don't tease us now. Ren Zimei also spoke out. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang calmly said, I'm not teasing you. This is the treasure that I chose from the palace master. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's serious expression, everyone could not help but be stunned. Their stunned expressions were filled with disbelief. Is this true? You picked this black stone from the palace master? Shangguan Yingying said in disbelief. When Ziren picked up the stone and looked at it carefully, he asked, Hongzhuang, is there anything special about this stone? There seems to be a mysterious and powerful force in this stone, but so far I don't know how to use it, but I think it is really special, so I brought it back. Bailey Hongzhuang explained with a smile. You don't know how to use it? Chu Jinfeng immediately grasped the key point in Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded gently. Her expression filled with helplessness. Indeed, we don't know how to use it yet. The palace master has not studied it yet. Hongzhuang, you chose such a good opportunity to pick such a black stone. Isn't this too wasteful? Shangguan Yingying could not help but look up to the sky and sigh. She thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would bring back some amazing treasure. Who would have thought that she would bring back such an inconspicuous stone? It was too much of a pity. Beichen, you have to take care of your wife. This is too much of a waste of opportunity. Ziren spoke out. Chapter 40:14. Listening to Di Beichen's doting words, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile became even more blissful. Yes, as long as I like it. Looking at Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang's sweet faces, when Ziren could not help but shake his head helplessly. TSK, look at these two people showing off their love. No one else can do this. Why? When Ziren, you have a wife. Could it be that watching them show off their love will provoke you? Renzime chuckled and teased. Ziren shook his head and spread out his hands. Of course I can't stand it. I'm just speaking my mind on behalf of senior brother Ran and the others. Junior brother 1, this is your opinion. Don't drag me into it. Ren Ziheng said helplessly. Big brother junior brother 1 has a point. Ren Zimei walked to Ren Ziheng's side. You have been in Penglai Palace for so many years. Logically speaking, you should find me a sister-in-law. Otherwise you will always be alone. As your sister, I am worried for you. As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes fell on Ren Ziheng. Senior brother Ren, no matter what, you are still a distinguished and elegant person. In this Penglai Palace you are also a senior brother figure. Logically speaking, there should be many junior sisters who are interested in you. Could it be that your standards are too high? Why are you still single until now? When Ziren teased, Di Beichen also nodded. It is indeed time to find someone. Seeing that everyone had shifted the question to him, Ran Ziheng was surprised and somewhat helpless. You little girl, are you going to get married now and don't want your big brother anymore? Oh. Di Beichen raised his eyebrows and looked at Chu Jinfeng and Ran Zimei teasingly. So it is because something good is about to happen. Chu Jinfeng was slightly stunned. Obviously, he did not expect the topic to change to this. However, he quickly calmed down. As long as Zimei and senior brother Ren agree, I have no problem at all. Ren Ziheng also sighed. A grown girl can't be kept at home. Big brother, what are you talking about? I just want you to find a sister-in-law. Don't tease me like this. Ren Zimei's pretty face blushed and her cheeks puffed up. Her eyebrows were full of shyness. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also laughed secretly. Since Ren Zimei and Chu Jinfeng's relationship had broken, the relationship between the two had progressed rapidly. If this continued, it would not be long it would become a good marriage. After everyone left, Bailey Hongzhuang began to carefully study the black stone in front of her. He could not help but smile. Je. He said. He could not help but smiled and said. He. Wife, do you think there is something special about this black he? Is. Or you have discovered you? Based on his understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang, if she did not have some special thoughts about this stone, she would not have chosen to bring it back. Since she brought it back, she must have discovered something. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. I did not discover the use of this stone. According to the palace master, he had found many people to study the use of this stone, but they did not discover anything. It should not be that simple. Hearing this, Di Beichen only looked at Bailey Hongzhuang lovingly, waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to say her reason for doing so. It was just like how it would be difficult for the people around you to notice whether the other party had become fat or skinny every day. However, people who had not seen each other for a long time would be able to tell at a glance. This stone is actually related to the world in the Chaos Ring. This is just too strange. Bailey Hongzhuang's pretty face was filled with astonishment. The Chaos Ring had existed for thousands of years. Could it be that this stone is also from thousands of years ago? I actually saw him long ago, but I didn't recognize him. How foolish. Di Yujue sighed and shook his head. Back then, he still treated Di Beichen as his friend. They chatted happily. He was very surprised. He didn't think that he would actually meet a very congenial young man on Penglai Island. Chapter 40:18. It's really him. Elder D was also in disbelief. Although he had a glimmer of hope, he knew that the chances of success were very small. However, he didn't expect that even though the chances were small, they really met him. Little young master was found to have the cursed body. How could he? The reason he came to the auction house to look for medicinal ingredients was to change his cursed body. This child's fate is truly extraordinary. His wife's medical skills are extremely high, and she forcibly suppressed his cursed body. That's why he's in the state we saw before. We never expected this to happen. That's why we made the wrong judgment. So it's really like this. I also thought that it was too much of a coincidence. I just didn't dare to believe it. Elder D's eyes were slightly red and the corners of his eyes were slightly moist. Good. After so many years we finally found little young master. If master and the others knew, they would definitely be very happy. Hearing this, Di Yujue also felt a wave of emotion. All these years, every time he went back, he was either scolded badly by master or was rendered speechless by his wife's resentful gaze. Now, when he thought about being able to bring Di Beichen back to acknowledge his ancestors, he felt a wave of joy in his heart. Yes, Elder D, do you know where Beichen and the others have been these days? Di Yujue asked aloud. Right now, he only hoped to find Di Beichen as soon as possible and acknowledge him. Previously, his relationship with Di Beichen was quite good. However, he wasn't sure what kind of reaction Di Beichen would have if he knew that he was his father. If Di Beichen resented him, what should he do? When he thought of all these possibilities, his mood was extremely complicated. Elder D shook his head. Ever since young master left, I heard that little young master came to look for you once. However, you weren't there, so he left. Since then, we have never seen young master again. Previously, he was very concerned about Di Beichen's whereabouts, but after thinking that Di Beichen couldn't be the person they were looking for, he didn't pay too much attention to it. So that's how it is. Di Yujue's eyes dimmed a little, then became firm. We have to find them as soon as possible. However, young master's wife called Bailey Hongzhuang? Elder D inquired. Di Yujue nodded. That's right, it's her. If it's her, then I think I know where the young master is. Old Emperor's face revealed a happy smile. Recently, Bailey Hongzhuang from Penglai Palace has been in the limelight. It is said that she has developed a drug that can completely restrain the power of darkness. Previously, she had already developed a healing medicine that could restrain the power of darkness. The effect was very obvious, but it couldn't completely restrain it. However, this time she found the catalyst and was able to completely restrain it. Chapter 40:20. What kind of amazing thing appeared? Chu Jinfeng could not hide his curiosity. We were talking about this before. It seems like a relic has appeared, Ren Zimei said. Now everyone is paying attention to this matter. Everyone is talking about it, but this news is true. It was spread by the teachers in the hall. Relic, everyone said in unison, their faces flashing with disbelief. Ren Zimei nodded. That's right. It's a relic. Then why would a relic appear in the training grounds? That's a place where dark forces are abundant. When Xiren said in astonishment. I don't know about that. When I heard the news, I hurried over to tell you. I heard that the hall master will explain it personally later, so now everyone is rushing to the square. Let's hurry over there too, Ren Zimei said. Then what are we waiting for? Let's hurry over. Di Beichen stood up. Although he had only heard a little bit of the news, he knew that it was definitely not simple. In the next moment, everyone got up and walked out together. As they walked out, they also found that other cultivators were rushing out, as if they were going to the same place. I don't know who left behind the relic, but it actually appeared in the Darklands. It's really a little shocking. Shangguan Yingying could not help but sigh. A relic was a rare opportunity. If it had appeared in other places, she would not have found it strange. However, it appeared in the training grounds, which was very strange. It was said that this training grounds had existed for many years. For so many years, not a single blade of grass grew, and it was a place where the skeleton army ran rampant. Who could build a relic here? Usually, there are so many cultivators who go to the training grounds. If someone wanted to build a relic there, it is impossible that no one would have discovered it. Bailey Hongzhuang thought about it and said, this was already very strange. According to this judgment, there is only one possibility. Di Beichen said slowly. What possibility? This relic has something to do with dark forces. Di Beichen and Mo Yunjue said in unison. After the two of them finished speaking, they realized that the other party had the same thoughts as them. They couldn't help but look at each other and smile. Something to do with the power of darkness? Xiren raised his eyebrows. Then this ruin should have been left behind many years ago? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. That should be the case. Only at that time it would not be noticed by everyone. If it was later, no one would choose to build a relic in a place where the skeleton army could appear at any time. Maybe it would be destroyed by the skeleton army before it was built. That's true. Ren Ziheng agreed. However, since this ruin can exist in the training grounds for so many years, the restriction must be very powerful. In that case, the experts in the hall haven't been in the hall all this time. Could it be that they went to explore the ruins? Ao Lingxiao said in surprise. As soon as he said this, everyone couldn't help but look at each other. This was very likely. Chapter 40:21. Hearing Ao Lingxiao's words, everyone couldn't help but nod their heads. If anyone can master the power of darkness, then they'll really be a great expert. However, the people of Penglai Island hate the power of darkness. If a cultivator masters such a power, I'm afraid he'll be targeted by others, right? Ren Zimei frowned. Naturally, everyone would want to have an incomparably powerful power. However, once this power was displayed, everyone would target it. It didn't seem to be a good thing. That's a matter of opinion. If he's really so powerful, then no one can be his opponent. What's there to be afraid of? Mo Yunjue said faintly, as if he didn't care about the possibility raised by Ren Zimei. Their Shurtian pavilion had always been rejected by everyone. However, weren't there still many people who needed help from them? Even if they didn't like them, they would still secretly come to them for help. The so-called rejection was just a high-sounding excuse. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. There's no good or evil in power itself. It just depends on how the person who masters it uses it. In fact, we don't know what happened hundreds of years ago. No one knows what the person who possessed the power of darkness did, so it's impossible to make a conclusion. That's right. Bachin agreed. Maybe the person who mastered the power of darkness didn't do anything that angered people. It's just that he was too powerful and made many people feel threatened, so everyone attacked him together. After all, the hunter shoots the bird that sticks out. Anyone who's too outstanding will easily be targeted. Junior Brother D's words are reasonable. This time, the experts of the three major forces went to study it for such a long time. Maybe they've already obtained the inheritance. It's a pity. We didn't have the chance to go. Otherwise, if we could obtain this inheritance, our strength would definitely improve greatly. Ren Ziheng couldn't help but sigh. This kind of opportunity wasn't so easy to come by. Once they got hold of it, they would have a meteoric rise. Unfortunately, they didn't even have the chance to understand it. When they found out, it was already the result. Looking at Ren Ziheng's appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but chuckle. Senior brother Ren, don't be sad. There will be more opportunities in the future. That's right. This kind of thing is destined to happen. If it's not destined to happen, then don't force it. If it doesn't happen to us, then there's no point in thinking about it. Ao Lingxiao consoled. As someone from the upper realm, he had a deeper understanding of the power of darkness than anyone else. Naturally, he also understood how powerful the power of darkness was. He did not expect the inheritance of darkness to appear here. If the people from the upper realm were to find out about this opportunity, they would also fight over it. Chapter 40-22. No wonder they didn't allow any of us to enter earlier. They wanted to monopolize this opportunity. Isn't this a little too unkind? No matter what, we are also disciples of the Penglai Inner Palace. Even if there is a chance, it should be a fair competition. How can they make all of us stay outside and give this chance to them? That's right. This is too much. How can they convince everyone? In an instant, everyone discussed animatedly. Their words were filled with dissatisfaction. Clearly, they had already guessed the general situation. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest could not help but look at each other when they saw this. Looks like everyone has a deep grudge about this. When Xiren said with a faint smile, this matter will definitely cause everyone's resentment. After all, it's impossible for anyone not to be moved by such a huge benefit. It would have been fine if everyone didn't know about it. Now that everyone knows about it, they'll definitely be upset. I'm afraid things aren't as we thought. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. If that's really the case, Penglai Palace doesn't need to tell us about this at all. They can find other reasons to cover up this matter. And it won't cause everyone's dissatisfaction. It's a thankless task to tell everyone everything. Bachin nodded. That's right. It looks like this matter is a little different from what we thought before. Let's hurry and take a look. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest arrived at their destination, they realized that there were many cultivators around them. At that moment, they had completely surrounded the place and were waiting for the palace master to explain the matter. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest noticed that Master Long and Instructor Yi, who they had not seen before, were here. Master Long obviously noticed them as well, and immediately nodded at them. Seeing this, the faces of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others all smiled. Not long after, when almost all the disciples had gathered, Bai Zongming's figure slowly appeared in front of everyone. Greetings, Palace Master. All the cultivators bowed together. Their faces were filled with respect. As the Penglai Palace's Palace Master, Bai Zongming was extremely powerful, and had always been an object of worship and respect. Bai Zongming nodded slightly as a warm smile appeared on his dignified face. Everyone has arrived. Today I have something to tell everyone. As soon as Bai Zongming spoke, the originally clamorous environment instantly quieted down. It was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Only Bai Zongming's voice resounded in the entire area. I'm sure everyone is very curious about what happened in the training grounds during this period of time. I'll take this opportunity to tell everyone about it. Everyone's gazes became fervent as they looked at Bai Zongming curiously. They were truly curious about this matter. Chapter 4023. Everyone knew about the recent evolution of the skeleton army, but no one expected that there would be such a complicated reason. According to our judgment, this ruin is probably related to the energy of darkness. The skeleton army is able to obtain nourishment from the energy emitted by this ruin and progress. Therefore, it's very likely that this ruin was left behind by the cultivator who grasped the energy of darkness. Sure enough, this is the case. Di Baichen muttered. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Baichen. It seems that this ruin is extremely dangerous. Currently, there are many skeleton armies gathered around this ruin. Moreover, there are restrictions around this ruin, so we can't enter it for a while. In the end, the three great forces have decided to give this opportunity to everyone after a discussion. As soon as he said that, the eyes of all the cultivators present lit up, and intense excitement flashed in their eyes. There's actually such a good opportunity. It's obvious that this ruin is definitely extraordinary. If we can obtain the inheritance, we'll be amazing in the future. Yes, perhaps these skeletons will directly listen to our orders in the future. At that time, when they imagined the scene after obtaining the inheritance of the energy of darkness, their hearts couldn't help but beat faster. This was really a great opportunity. Bai Zongming had a faint smile on his face as he listened to the discussions of the disciples below the stage. He wasn't anxious at all. After all, this news was indeed very shocking. After a short while, Bai Zongming continued, "Everyone, please don't get too excited because of this news. According to our judgment, this ruin is extremely dangerous, and there are various unpredictable possibilities inside. Therefore, everyone must be extra careful after entering. No matter what, your own life is the most important." After hearing Bai Zongming's reminder, everyone recovered from their previous excitement, and a trace of seriousness and solemnity appeared on their faces. As inner palace disciples, all of you have fought with the skeleton army many times, so you naturally know how powerful the skeleton army is. The fact that this ruin can appear in the training grounds and the skeleton army can evolve because of it is obvious that there's a connection between the two. After a joint discussion between the three major forces, we have decided to seal the entrance after you all enter. We will not allow other cultivators to enter in order to avoid any unforeseen circumstances. As a result, once you enter, not only will you face the dangers of the ruins, but you will also face competition with the cultivators of the 100 Flowers sect and the Crimson Moon sect. Swords have no eyes, everyone must be careful. Bai Zongming's expression turned grave. Although the leaders of the three forces seemed to have a good relationship, they were all competitors in private. Needless to say, the cultivators in their sects would often have conflicts when they were in the training grounds. It could be said that the grudges between them were not small. This time, the inner hall disciples of the three great powers had gathered together, and the scene was absolutely not to be underestimated. Naturally, he hoped that the cultivators in his sect would be able to obtain the inheritance. However, he had to remind everyone that obtaining the inheritance was not an easy task. If they were not careful, they might lose their lives there. Even with his reminder, he could still predict that after this incident, the number of cultivators who died was not small. Chapter 4024. Upon hearing Bai Zongming's reminder, everyone's expression turned grave. Usually, there were many fights between the disciples of the three major forces, and this time it would probably erupt. Just the thought of that scene alone was enough to understand how shocking it would be. When facing the skeleton army, I hope that all of you can face the enemy together with the disciples of the 100 Flowers Gate and the Crimson Moon sect. When facing the disciples of the 100 Flowers Gate and the Crimson Moon sect, I also hope that all of you can support each other. We will follow your instructions, Palace Master. Everyone replied in unison. Bai Zongming revealed a satisfied expression when he saw the reaction of the crowd. This was all that he could do, and the rest would depend on the disciples' own opportunities. The appearance of a relic definitely meant that there was an opportunity. However, the opportunity this time was rather special, and no one knew who would obtain it in the end. Everyone, make your choice within 2 hours. Once you enter, you won't be able to come out anytime soon. Similarly, if you don't enter within 2 hours, you won't have the chance to enter before the relic ends. Izihua stepped forward and explained the situation to everyone. You only have 2 hours to prepare. Regardless of what you need, it's best to prepare it now. If there are no questions, you can start now. As soon as Izihua finished speaking, all the cultivators present were stunned for a moment before they scattered in all directions. It was obvious that everyone had gone to prepare. However, there was also a group of cultivators who looked hesitant. These cultivators were usually weaker and did not have much confidence in participating in such a fight. After all, when such a group of heroes gathered, almost all the cultivators would gather in one place. Faced with a group of Starlight Realm cultivators, it was really difficult for them to defeat them with their abilities. On the contrary, they might even lose their lives for nothing if they went. In the face of benefits, they had to consider carefully whether to preserve their lives or take the risk. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest did not delay and immediately started to move. Only 2 hours. That's really tight. Everyone doesn't even have time to think. Xiren quickened his pace and could not help but lament. Di Beichen's eyes darkened. I think the 3 major forces don't want others to know about this and possibly interfere, so they only gave us such a short time. Once they enter, they will seal the entrance and no one else can enter. This is also to protect their own interests. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded, then looked at Ao Lingxiao and the rest. What are your plans? None of you plan to give up, right? Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's question, Ran Ziheng and the others all nodded. Such a good opportunity, whoever gives it up would be a fool. Merely their auras were completely different. Without any hesitation, everyone took out their weapons and charged towards the skeleton army. Advance courageously. Fearless. The skeleton army obviously didn't expect to encounter such a situation. Under the joint attack of everyone, the speed at which the skeleton army was annihilated was astonishing. The eerie white bones turned into powder under their hands, completely disappearing from the world. Oh my God, there are so many skeletons gathered here. Isn't this a little too terrifying? Just passing through these skeletons and entering the ruins won't be an easy task. After hearing the temple master's words, I knew that these ruins would not be easy to explore. However, the scene before me is even more frightening and shocking than I had imagined. I finally understand why the experts in the palace stayed here for so long. Who knows how long it would take to kill all these skeletons? Following this scene, the cultivators at the back all sobered up a little. It turned out that merely passing through the army of skeletons was of no use, because it was simply impossible to break through this layer of restriction. Some of the cultivators at the back immediately chose to retreat. After the first person retreated, the other cultivators also retreated one after another. Even if they passed through the army of skeletons, it would be useless. So why should they risk their lives at this moment? Chapter 4039. Listening to Ren Ziheng's introduction to Li Buoyo, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' hearts sank a little. Star Radiant Stage 5. This kind of strength was indeed extremely tyrannical. Even in Penglai Palace, cultivators with this kind of strength were first-class powerhouses. Most importantly, when Li Buoyo and the others came over just now, they had already noticed that the size of the other party's team was really not ordinary. If Li Buoyo found trouble with them now, then it would really cause them a lot of trouble. Then we'd better enter the ruins as soon as possible. It's best to get rid of Li Buoyo as soon as possible. Otherwise, with this guy here, we really have no fate with the ruins. When Xiren couldn't help but say, with such a great opportunity in front of them, they couldn't miss it just like that. Even if they really couldn't avoid it in the future, they would have to solve it in the future. At this time, they couldn't afford any delay. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded lightly. Li Buoyo is also very confused now. For a while he still can't judge whether what we said is true or false, so we still have a chance. But once he comes back to his senses, I'm afraid it won't be so simple. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two quietly looked at each other. They didn't have any wishful thinking in their hearts. The mentality of a powerhouse was that they would rather kill by mistake than let go. Since that was the case, as long as there was a slight possibility, the other party would kill them to avenge Li Yunyu. This didn't affect everyone's speed. Under the charge of a group of cultivators, they quickly passed through the obstruction of the skeleton army and continued to approach the ruins. Li Buoyo's strength was extremely tyrannical. In addition to the size of his team, when the combat power fully erupted, it could be said that they were the fastest team. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also pulled away from them as they moved forward. Bang bang bang. Under the collision of countless energy, Li Buoyo and the others were the first to approach the ruins. The restriction had long disappeared, so they walked directly to the entrance of the ruins without any obstruction. Noticing this scene, a touch of envy suddenly appeared in the eyes of the cultivators who were still fighting. The other party had already seized the opportunity, and the chances of obtaining the treasure would be higher. Li Buoyo and the others stood in front of the door and were somewhat hesitant. After all, no one knew what kind of situation they would encounter after opening this door. Finally, they pushed open the black door. Rumble. The heavy sound of the door opening rang out. Li Buoyo and the others all retreated a distance, guarding against any possible attacks that might appear in the ruins. However, after the door opened, there was no movement at all. Seeing this, Li Buoyo and the others couldn't help but look at each other before walking inside together. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were not slow either. Not long after Li Buoyo and the others entered, they also entered the ruins. With the other party leading the way, they naturally didn't have to worry about any traps near the door. They immediately walked in. Darkness. It was still boundless darkness. Not only was the exterior of the building black, even the interior was black. The black bricks and the black totem emitted a demonic darkness and mystery. Seeing this scene, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also had a trace of seriousness and nervousness on their faces. However, after waiting for a while, they still did not hear the slightest movement. Everyone understood. Looks like we're the only ones here. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was firm. Logically speaking, the cultivators should be entering the ruins one after another. It was impossible for them to not hear anything after waiting for a while. Otherwise, it would be useless to just waste his energy. For a time, everyone stopped where they were and looked at the walls around them. However, the walls were all paved with black bricks, and he couldn't see any difference at all. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.